Hello class. This video is going to cover Microsoft PowerPoint Unit N in our textbook. The objectives of this particular unit will cover how to add pictures, sound, video, how to set slide transitions and timing, and how to animate slide objects. It will also cover using speaker notes and slideshow commands, how to print handouts and notes pages, and then design effective presentations. So as always, these slides can be found in Blackboard under the Helpful Videos and Notes link in the PowerPoint folder. We'll open that folder and you can see PowerPoint Unit N. PowerPoint, that is the PowerPoint that I'm going to be lecturing from in this video, so everybody knows where to locate these slides afterwards if you would like to view them again. I'm not going to cover every slide in this presentation, and instead I'm going to basically work some examples and give you some information that I think will be useful, and then you can review the PowerPoint as needed for any supplemental questions that you have. So let's see, moving on to the first topic, which is adding pictures. I've got a blank PowerPoint presentation set up and we're going to let's see, actually I'm going to add a new slide here. Okay, so there's a couple of ways you can insert a photo in Microsoft PowerPoint. It's similar to what we've done in Microsoft Word or actually in Microsoft Excel. We've done the same thing. You can use the Insert tab, find the picture icon, select from there. You go get a dialog box that'll give you some examples of some photos that you can choose from. In this case, I've chosen this particular photo of some type of rock formation out in the desert. All right, so that's how you can insert a video, or excuse me, an image. That's one way. Also, you can also use if you select a slide that has a content placeholder box, like the one in the bottom half of this slide. You can see there are several icons that you can choose from that will help you insert the type of content that you need for your particular slide. So in this case, we've got some icons an icon that will allow you to insert a table, also insert a chart, smart art, graphics, picture. So we could also use this shortcut to insert the same picture. Just makes it a little quicker. It's already on the slide. Should reduce down the number of clicks that you need to make. So we can use that option, or I'll back up and cover the rest of those. Let's see, clip art, which we'll talk a little bit more about clip art in a few minutes, and then insert a media clip like a video or audio file. So in this case, we're looking to insert an image. So we'll select that icon, select our image, and then now our photo has been inserted, and we're going to resize it using the resizing handles. On each corner of the photo, you'll notice you have resizing handles. I believe I mentioned this a little bit in the last video. I do recommend using the ones on the corner and dragging the photo in or out at a 45-degree angle. Kind of keeps the aspect ratio of the photo the same. There's also a rotation handle up top. You can see the green button, the green dot. If I hover the cursor over that, click, you can turn the photo to whichever angle you would like. If you'd like the photo to look like that, you can do so, or you can always return it back to its original position. So that's how to insert an image. There's a couple of different ways to do it in PowerPoint. You can probably also, let's see, actually no, in this version you can't. So those are the two most common ways to insert an image. Go to the Insert tab, click Picture, or you can select the picture icon in the content box here to add a photo. All right, so let's see. That's adding photos. Let's see, adding sound. you can add sound clips to PowerPoint, and it's just like any other object in Microsoft PowerPoint. You can just like a chart, a graph, smart art, video clip, audio clip, or can be added the same way that a photo or any other type of object can be added. So there's a couple of ways to do that. We can go to the Insert tab, and we should have right here on the right, we can add a movie clip or sound clip from a file. We would select Sound from File, and we would be given a dialog box for an audio, for our audio clips, or we could browse to where our audio clips are, and then we would select one, click Open, and it would insert it in this box below. You can also use the media clip shortcut in the content box to allow you to do the same thing. And you can see in this case it directed me to my videos file, which we'll demonstrate this in a minute when we get through talking about audio clips, and it will give you the options that we have available to insert for video clips or for audio clips. So it's really inserting objects in Microsoft Office is very similar throughout all the different applications. So and you can also edit those objects just like you can a photo. Anytime that you have an object selected, or inserted into Microsoft PowerPoint, to edit that object using the specific tools made available for that object, you always want to make sure that the photo is selected. So in this case, the photo is selected, and I've got a Picture Tools Format tab that you'll notice is only available when that photo is selected. So if I click off of that photo, you can see the photo is no longer selected. That menu goes away. Okay. So, and that's true with any object in Microsoft Office that you're trying to use a contextual menu. All right, so it's selected, my menu reappears. I select the Format tab, and you can see I have different types of formatting tools, cropping. I can crop the photo using the cropping handles. Whoops. Let's go back and grab the cropping handle right there. And I can cut out unwanted or unnecessary pieces of a photo if I just want to use that portion of the photo. Excuse me. Then you can use that. You can use the cropping handles. Again, you can stretch the photo after it's been cropped, and you can see once you've cropped a photo, and then begin to resize it depending on the I guess the quality of the photo may begin to become a little distorted. You can see that photo is not quite as clear as it was originally. So that's how a contextual menu works, and that's going to be the case with any Microsoft Office application. Okay. All right, so we just talked about how to add an audio file, and one thing that I do need to mention about the audio file exercise in the book, on page 354, you're asked to add an audio clip to your PowerPoint. And since this book has been written, the audio file that you're asked to insert off of Online Audio, the Online Audio group, has been removed, so you can't complete this exercise because of that. So on page 354, what I would like you to do is just step through each of or work your way through each of the steps, numbers 1 through 9, and complete as much as you can. But I do understand that you won't be able to complete the online audio file insertion, so don't worry about that. I already know about that. There won't be any points deducted because of that, but just make sure that you walk through the remaining steps so you complete anything else that is needed there, so you can get full credit on your tutorial. So just want to point that out. Alright, so now that we've talked about how to insert a photo and an audio or sound clip, we're going to move down to video. Alright, so adding video to your presentation, and you can see Video Tools Playback tab is something that's the name of the contextual menu for inserting a video clip. Alright, sorry for the interruption there. So back to the video clips. Same idea. We've got a couple of options, a couple of different ways to insert a video clip. One, using the Insert tab. We can go to the Media Clips group, click the Movie Clip, Movie from File, and that'll take us to, that'll give us a dialog box that we can browse to a video. Or we can use the Media, Insert Media Clip shortcut in the Content pane in Microsoft PowerPoint. Select our videos. Looks like I have an old video clip that we can use as an example from a project. Let's see. Alright, so, and this was from looks like from a master's class that I took in the fall of 2013. So you can notice once the video clip is embedded in the PowerPoint, it asks how do I want the movie to start in the slideshow. I would recommend always selecting when clicked, unless you're going to have your PowerPoint presentation run automatically on a timer. And the reason why I say that is because if you're using PowerPoint to present to a group of people, whether it be a class, some type of conference for work, any type of group of people, you want to have as much control of that presentation as possible. So I don't recommend using any type of timer, because the whole idea behind an application like Microsoft PowerPoint is to help you facilitate and work through a presentation, to present points that you're going to discuss. You'll have bullet points on your slide that you're going to discuss. It's more of a supplement to someone who just it's a supplement to help you with your presentation. So you want to make sure that you're in control and that you're not having to stop videos to speak. You want to kind of have control every step of the way. So I would always recommend selecting when clicked, and you can see that now that I've got my video inserted, it has resizing handles on it just like a photo does. So we can click and drag, and it should change the footprint of my video clip as such. Okay, so when I go to play this video, or when I run my slideshow, which we can do now, from current slide, now it's loaded. Whoops, let's back up a slide. We click on the file, it should start playing. Yep, and you can see it starts playing, and it'll continue on for the duration of that video. Okay, let's see. When we click this video file, you can see we do have a couple of different options. The Picture Tools is going to be used to format the video clip icon or thumbnail here. So that would be what that tab would be used for, and the Movie Tools will be used for let's see, things pertaining to the movie itself or the video itself, like slideshow volume. Let's see, looks like we can adjust the size of the clip or thumbnail here. We can run it on a loop until stopped. We can rewind the movie after playing so it goes back to the beginning. We want it to always play full screen. So there's several different options here, but the idea is that when you insert a video, it's a Microsoft object just like any other object that we've talked about, and then it can be formatting using these tools on the Format tab for the Picture Tools and for the Movie Tools options. So just keep that in mind. Okay. Alright, let's see. Let's insert a new slide and then go back over to our PowerPoint and see what our next topic of discussion is. It should be setting slide transitions and timing. Okay, so whoops, let's see, wrong file. So slide transitions, and timing. I'll add a title here that'll help us. Whoops, wrong formation. I'll add a title that'll help us through. That'll kind of help our presentation along as we use our transition and animation. So slide transitions. Those are basically changing from one slide to another. You can have a normal slide transition, which would be, let's see, starting from the beginning. You can see we just jump from one slide to the next. Nothing fancy about it. Well, PowerPoint offers some features. Let's see here. Under the Animations tab, you've got transitions listed here. Transitions are the way the PowerPoint changes from one slide to the next. So for example, you can see on my screen I just selected let's give me a name, the dissolve transition. So when I apply that to all of my slides and I step through my PowerPoint slideshow, you can see that as each slide transitions from one to the next, it uses that dissolve feature. Okay, so that's what a transition is. Transitions, let's see, there are several transitions you can choose from. Let's see, a random transition might not be a bad idea. It changes from one to the next using that transition method. Let's see, we have from the top, from the bottom, from the left, from the right. These transition called wipes. We have one that looks like it's starting from the top and kind of circling around. Let's see. As such. So there's several different options that we can use here. Okay. Let's see. Let's add a title here. Okay, so those are transitions. Transitions from one slide to the next, and you can add a different transition for each slide, or you can have all the slides transition the same. Let's see, let's add some different transitions to each slide. And okay, let's do this last one. Let's call it the end. Okay, so we're going to start from the beginning. Let's take out the blank slide. Let's start from the beginning. Slideshow from the beginning. So you can see we have the dissolve transition on the first slide. So when it appears, it'll use the dissolve transition. The next one had a wipe up transition. So from the bottom, it wiped up to change from the first slide to the second slide. Third slide had a wipe down feature. So you can see it started from the top and went to the bottom and wiped that slide away, and it displays the third slide. And then the last one, let's see, what did we set as the last one? Let's go back to animations. We used the checkerboard across. Let's try that one again. I didn't really see that one appear. Okay, so you can see the checkerboard across. So those are what transitions are. You can select any combination. You can apply to all. Slide transitions are not a bad idea for presentations. I recommend using them. There's one other feature that's similar in PowerPoint that we're going to talk about now. It's called animations. So animations are a little bit different. Animations animate the items on the slide. Transition is the animation of transitioning from one slide to the next, where animations actually animate each individual object on the slide, and I'll demonstrate what I'm talking about. So for this slide, I've got the title rock formation selected. I'm going to apply a fade animation. Let's see. Let's add one in for the photo. And we're going to do something similar for, let's see, the text on cropped photo, or the on the cropped photo slide. So we got it wiped in. For the photo, we're going to apply, let's see, fly in. For our video clip title, we're going to apply the fade. And for, let's see, our final slide, the end, we're going to have it fade in. Alright, so the point I want to emphasize here is animations are great, but you don't want to overdo them. And you'll see what I mean when I start the slideshow. So I'm going to begin my slideshow from the beginning. Alright, so I just started my slideshow, and you can see I had the dissolve animation. Nothing appears on the screen. So to trigger the next animation on the slide, you have to click your mouse key or press the down arrow. And now you can see that rock formation appeared. To trigger the next animation, I have to press the down arrow again or click my mouse key again, and I've done so. So it took, let's see, what, 3 or 4 clicks just to display all the information on the first slide. That can get tedious when you particularly if you have a slideshow that it contains 30, 40 or more slides. You'll spend a lot of time waiting on animations to appear instead of talking about your presentation, which is really why you're there. Alright, so I'm transitioned to the next slide. I had to wipe up transition. Press the down arrow or the next arrow again, and now my title has appeared. Press the next arrow again, and now I've got my photo appeared. So this one took 3 clicks to display everything on the slide. Moving to my third slide, and you can see here that the video clip is already displayed, but there's no title. That's because I did not apply an animation to the video clip, but I did apply one to the title. So that's another reason that this particular slide, the content appeared somewhat backwards. Usually you would want the title to come in and then the content in the content pane to appear. Well, since I didn't apply an animation to my video clip, it looks odd. Another reason not to get carried away with animations. And then lastly, the last slide, I used the checkerboard transition. Press the next key and I have the end. So you can see that animations can make your PowerPoint presentation look professional, but at the same time you don't want to overdo it. That's why I recommend using slide transitions. Transition from one slide to the next, and if you do use animations, to use them sparingly. You don't want to use a lot of animations on a regular basis. All right, so that's what animations are. This screen that we're on now, if you'll notice, is the this custom animation box on the right side of the screen. What this is this allows you to see what animations you have applied to your slideshow. So you can see on this slide we've got 2. We've got the title, rock formation, then we've got the content placeholder that comes in. You can see it says on click, fly in, content placeholder 3. Alright, so the content placeholder 3 is just referring to the content that we input into our content placeholder box. That's all that means. It's talking about our photo. Alright, so, and you'll also notice at the bottom it'll allow you to play the slide, so you can the PowerPoint presentation, so you can see what that'll appear like. So let's click play. Alright, so it's running, and that's what it's going to look like. Now, that's very useful if we're in situations like the one we have on slide 3. We can get a sneak peek of what it's going to look like, and if I'd used this before I demonstrated my PowerPoint to you, I would have seen that my video clip was going to always appear, but my title would fade in, like so. And you can edit your animations from this pane. it's a good idea to, and you can see the transitions, or excuse me, not the transitions, but the animations are numbered from this view as well. So when I look at the slide, I can see number 1, the rock formation title is going to appear first. Number 2, the content placeholder or our photo is going to appear second. Now this is important, particularly when you're wanting to know how your content is going to appear, and it'll be helpful to utilize this view so you know exactly which objects are going to appear in what order. Now, how do I get the objects to appear in the order I want them to? That's very simple. You just apply the animation in the order in which you want it to appear. So starting at the top of the slide, if I want the rock formation title to appear first, I would give it an animation first on this slide. If I want the photo to appear second, I would give it an animation second. So that's how that works. If you want everything to appear at once, you can select both objects, and then you can add the animation at that point, and it will have both objects fly in at the same time or appear at the same time. Okay, so that's slide transitions and animations. That's something your project you'll use, something that you will be tested on, and I would pay particular attention of how to make your animations appear in the correct order, which is basically apply them in the order in which you want them to appear, because that would be a good test question. All right, so let's flip back over to our objectives. We've covered picture, sound, video, slide transitions, and we need to talk about timing, and then we also animated slide objects. All right, so let's go back to animations, and let's talk about timing. All right, let's see. Transition sound, transition speed. So we can see on this tab, on the animations tab, that we have transition sound. We can add a sound for each transition. I don't particularly recommend this. This is something that you can do, but I would not overdo it. Less is more in this particular using that particular feature. Let's see. But to transition from one slide to the next, you can see in the far right side of the screen we've got an advanced slide box. Currently we've got on mouse click selected, so we can select that, or we can select automatically after so many seconds. So let's say 10 seconds. No, let's not do 10. Let's do 3 seconds. So if I want this slide to transition, or advance rather, after 3 seconds, I can set my timer. And let's do that for all of our slides. 1, 2, 3. All right, so they should all transition after 3 seconds. So let's play the slideshow and see what happens. All right, so it appears. That's 3 seconds. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I added a drum roll. 1, 2, 3. There you go. So you can see on the animations tab, and you also, I believe, in Microsoft Office 2013 have a transitions tab. So I think that the tab name has changed between this version I'm using and then Microsoft Office 2013, but the features are still there and they work the same. So and one thing on automatically advancing slides, that's something, as I mentioned earlier with the video clips, I do not recommend using that during a presentation that you are giving. The only reason you would want to automatically advance slides or have anything automated in a presentation, in my opinion, is one where either you have the PowerPoint presentation, let's say, displayed on maybe a monitor or a TV screen in the lobby of a business, and you need it just to run continuously, maybe demonstrating or out detailing the products and services your business has. Or if you're going to email out the presentation and you want it to flow a particular way, that's something that you may consider then. But trying to speak during a presentation that has timer set can be difficult, and it can get out of order. So I recommend to use the timer sparingly. Okay. Sorry, I had to pause there for a second. All right, let's see. So we have covered every objective on the first slide here. Let's take a look at the second objective slide using speaker notes and slideshow commands, and then print handouts and notes pages. So let's scroll through our presentation. Let's find speaker notes. Let's see. All right, so speaker notes. Speaker notes are good for someone who does have difficulty speaking to a group. Some people get in front of a crowd or a group of people and they tend to freeze up when they're speaking. So speaker notes and slideshow commands, these are some features that can help you kind of overcome some of that. So the speaker notes, you can add speaker notes to any slide in the notes pane, and you can see here below, here's the notes pane below. So if I wanted to add a note to remind me to discuss how using speaker notes can help keep presentation on track. And see, there are certain views in Microsoft PowerPoint. One, presenter view is one, where you can display these notes to where only you can see the notes, being the presenter, and the audience cannot see those notes. So that's one good feature of the notes pane. You can also print a copy of your Microsoft PowerPoint and include the notes to help you speak from if you would rather have something to hold in your hand and speak from rather than looking at the computer screen while you're attempting to give a presentation. If you want to walk around the room, or if you want to control the slideshow remotely with a clicker, you can use that and then speak from the notes pages that you've printed out. So that's just a couple of features of the speaker notes and the notes pane that helps make it easier on the presenter. You can view your slides in notes page view, which is what I just referred to. Let's see, that should be on the view tab. You'll have a notes page view, and you can see this particular slide. I added the notes. So if this is something that you wanted to print out, you can add notes. You can see there's plenty of room to add a fair amount of notes. You can do that in this view, print these out and speak from them, or you can provide them to the audience if you want to provide your notes to the group that you're speaking to. All right. Let's move on to a couple of figures here. Let's see, speaker notes you can see are at the bottom. Let me make this, let's see, slideshow, current slide. Make this a little bit bigger so we can see. Notes page view, you can see we talked about that. And then slideshow icons, you have the advance, edit, or actually this is probably a highlight icon. You can zoom in, and then also you have some other features available. So when you're in slideshow mode, you have these features available to you when you're in presenter mode. All right, and so here's presenter view. You can see that this is what your computer screen would look like while you're presenting. Now, and what the audience would see would basically be just the slide in this pane in the center, the big pane that you see on the slide in front of us. So what this does is this gives us a preview of the next slide coming up. It gives us our notes for slide 1, and it also gives us some controls that we can navigate from the machine that's giving the presentation. So it also has a timer that kind of lets you know how long you're taking per slide or for the presentation. And then there's also some available features here, like see all slides button, a highlighter to make marks on the presentation. You can do that. Just several features here available in Microsoft Office 2013 that will make it a little bit easier on you to give your presentation. So just a couple things I wanted to point out there. Let's see, printing handouts and notes pages. I've touched on this a little bit already. You can print handouts, which you know, when you present to an audience, sometimes it's a good idea to provide a hard copy of the slideshow. Some people like to go through and take notes as you're presenting, so you can do that several different ways. You can print one slide per page, or if you work for an organization that has some limitations on how much they want you to print, you can add 2 or 3, 4, up to, I believe it's around 9 slides per handout, or per page rather. So it'll basically, you'll have a printout of a page that has all of the slides on one page, up to 9 slides, and they can take notes that way. Now, probably the most effective one is to print, I would say, a notes page that has a thumbnail of probably 4 slides with some lines underneath each one to take notes. That's probably going to be the most effective way. Depending how busy your slides are, how much text is included in your slides, the smaller the thumbnail, the harder to read, and the less effective it will be. So a good balance would be 4 slides per handout, with lines to take notes underneath. So, and you can see that. Let's see if we can take a look at a view here. Let's see. Let's do a print preview. We want to print. Let's do a notes pages. Actually, let's do a handout. You can see here 4 slides per page, and there's places underneath to take notes. It looks like you can get up to 9 slides per page. That's a little busy, and it would be hard to take many notes. 2 slides per page, you know, that's you may want to try to be a little bit more conservative. So 4 slides per page is what I would recommend. There's also an additional, let's see, outline view, which basically just takes the text off the slide. You can see each icon represents the content on a slide. So there are several different ways you can print a presentation. If you just want to print the slides, and you would set it to print slides, and it would print a full page slide view of your presentation for the number of slides in the presentation. So, alright, so let's go back to where we were. We were here. Let's see. We talked about printing notes and handout. We talked about printing presentation slides. Let's see. Let's talk about designing an effective presentation, and this will be the last item that we'll cover. All right, so just a couple of bullet points here. Make sure to communicate your presentation goals to the audience. Text and graphics should be appropriate in both content and appearance. Okay, so first bullet point. The whole purpose of giving a presentation, whoops, I'll make this bigger, but let me start from the current slide. The whole purpose of giving a presentation is to communicate a point. Now, there's an old saying or old rule when you're giving a presentation that you want to make sure that you hit. That rule is tell the audience what you're going to tell them, tell the audience, and then tell them what you told them. So what does that mean? That means that in your introduction, you want to tell the audience, this is what we're going to cover during the presentation. During the presentation, you want to cover those items that you told the audience you were going to cover, and then in your closing, you want to recap and tell the audience what you told them. So, and the reason why that's important is you tell them up front what to expect, you tell them what the presentation's about, or you cover the items that you want to make clear in your presentation, and in closing you want to recap and remind them what you told them. So by doing that, the presentation should be more effective. Your audience should come away with a better and clearer understanding, and also the fact that it's repetitive in nature, there's a much better chance that the audience will remember more of your presentation. So remember those 3 things. Tell the audience what you're going to tell them up front. Tell the audience during your presentation. And then in closing, tell them what you told them. Remember those 3 things. That's, if you can implement that into any type of presentation that you're given, that will help you. And if you'll notice, that concept is very similar to writing like a research paper. You have an introduction, which should include what you're going to tell the reader. The content of the paper includes the details on what you told the reader that you were going to tell them during your introduction. And in conclusion, you recap and tell the reader what you discussed. So similar idea. Introduction, body of the paper, conclusion. For a presentation, tell the audience what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. All right. Text and graphics should be appropriate in both content and appearance. So you don't want to include anything that could be deemed unprofessional, and you want the graphic or text to be supportive of your presentation. You don't want to include anything that has no bearing on the presentation. You want it to help. A graphic is somewhat like a visual aid, or a chart is a visual aid, or even a video would be a visual aid. That's something you want the idea behind using those types of content is to help promote or support your presentation. So you want to make sure everything that you include in your presentation is working towards helping you make your point. Okay. Text, you can see this slide is a good example. I've got 2 bullet points on this slide. One that discusses making sure you communicate your presentation goals, and one that talks about text and graphics. Now, I've talked for probably 2 or 3 minutes on this slide, and everything that I've told you is not included on this slide. So my point here is the text in the slides should be bullet points, and they should be a high level. They should be written at a high level that will allow you to elaborate. So, for example, the bullet point number 1, I talked about how to communicate your goals, and then bullet point number 2, I just talked about how to include appropriate text and graphics in both content and appearance. So this is what a slide should look like. It should be quick and to the point and give you room to speak to. It should not be a paragraph after paragraph of just text. It needs to be a clearly defined point that you want to make, and then you can speak to that and elaborate on those points. Okay. All right, let's see. So as you create the presentation, you want to consider the following, and this is some of what we've talked about a little bit on the last slide. Content, you want to make sure it supports your argument or the points you're trying to make. The design, that needs to be something, in my opinion, that's easy to look at. The colors need to be high contrast, and what I say when I mean that is, if you look at this slide, you can see I have a white background with dark blue text. Okay, that's high contrast. I wouldn't want to have a slide with a red background and dark blue text, because that would be hard to read, because those colors don't have quite as much contrast as a white and a dark color would, or a light and a dark color would. So keep that in mind. You want to make sure that you've got a design that's easy to read, because if you're lecturing to a big group, maybe in a lecture hall or in a conference room, you want to make sure that everybody in the room can see your slide and can read it, because there's nothing worse than getting in a room and having someone say, I can't see that, or I can't read that, because of a poor design in your presentation on your PowerPoint file. So keep that in mind. Text in your book, there on page, let's see, it is going to be page 366. There's a figure that talks about let's see, using sans serif fonts. It's on page 366. It's in the top figure. So you don't want to use any more than 2 different fonts in your presentation, one for headings and one for bulleted text. The book recommends using sans serif fonts. So that's a font without a serif is what that means. So sans, that means without. So a sans serif font would be something like Arial, Helvetica, and then a serifed font would be something like Times New Roman. So I'll give you an example of what that is. And some fonts are used, are better incorporated in written text, and for viewing from a distance, others are better. So for example, I'm going to change the font of the word text here to Times New Roman so I can demonstrate what a serif is. Let's see, Times New Roman. Okay, so, and I'm going to blow this slide back up so we can get a good look at it. Alright, so if you'll notice the small tick marks on the T at the top and the bottom, that's what a serif is. Alright, so it's in the book details the serif as a small decorative stroke at the top and bottoms of letters. Okay, so that's what that would be, a decorative stroke. So Times New Roman would be a font that's known as a serif font, whereas Arial, which is what you're looking at on the remainder of these words in the slide, is a sans serif font. So if you compare the T in the word text and the T in the word transition, you can see the difference. There's no decorative strokes on the T in transition, and that's a sans serif font. Now that makes it, according to our textbook, makes the slides a little bit easier to read, and they recommend using that type of font in a presentation. Okay, so that's the point I want to make about effective text in a presentation. Let's see, graphics we've talked about a little bit already. You want to just make sure that they're relevant and they help convey your point and that they're appropriate for the audience. And then lastly, transitions and animations. You know, I spoke on this a good bit already. Transitions are okay per slide. Animations I would not get carried away with. One per slide maybe. Or maybe a good example of when a good time to ask or to use an animation would be if you're going to ask the group a question and you transition to your slide and your question appears on the slide. Let's just say, does anybody know who led the region in sales last month? And you wait for an answer, and if nobody answers, or if somebody does answer, then you can click your mouse or press the next arrow, and then you can display the answer. That would be a good use of an animation. Other than that, if you're just using animations to spruce up the presentation, the rule of thumb is less is more. So keep that in mind when creating them. Let's see. We'll look at. Let's see. Sharing your presentation. These are just. This will be the last thing we cover. There's several different ways you can do it. You can either email it out to the distribution or to the group of people that you're wanting to, either that you're going to present to or that you did present to. A lot of times it's customary to email the PowerPoint presentation out to a group after it's been covered. You can place it on a web or network location like a SkyDrive. You can also create a recorded video of your presentation and post it somewhere, so if someone wants to go back and rewatch the presentation, they can do that. That's always a good idea. But that's just different ways to share your presentation. And that's the end of Unit N. If you have questions on anything, please let me know through course messages, and I'll work on posting the video for Unit O, and will be available shortly. Thank you.